All righty, welcome in. It is a Thanksgiving week edition of the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Joining me, as always, getting ready to go on a hunt and getting ready to hunt a state championship. It's my man, Israel Troop. What's up?
What's up, brother? Yeah, man, just getting it in down here, getting ready for the third round, the best round of the playoffs right now. So, everybody's off for Thanksgiving but us. It's a good position to be in, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that happens, and here we go. It's up here in Tennessee. It's semifinal time. So a lot of teams are going to be punching their ticket to, I think it's still Chattanooga. They're going to be punching their ticket to Chattanooga. That's what it's going to be. So
nice. So yeah, everybody's ahead of us. So I think y'all and I think Alabama's in the semifinals this week too.
Yeah, that's good. We set the stage for the best state in the Southeast for state championships. So
there you go.
We get everybody warmed up, and then everybody goes to the main event, which is your state. So there you go. That's what's happening. Well, this episode is brought to you by Bet Online. This Thanksgiving holiday, why not heed to the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting? Bet Online. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with constant real-time odds and action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, and boxing, head to the website today and see why Bet Online is America's most trusted site for online wagering. And they have a casino as well. So when all the games are done, you can go play some blackjack just for the fun of it. So Bet Online, the game, it starts here. So this week, the gist of the week here is it's clean old-fashioned hate, but it's also clean old-fashioned Black Friday hate because the game has now moved to Friday night, which I think sets way to, the Iron Bowl did it years ago. The Egg Bowl's always played on Thanksgiving evening. They're spreading out these games because they want eyeballs on the SEC. What do you like? Is it weird that this game is not on Saturday after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, this is really weird. Simply from the fact that, our whole playoff situation here in Georgia was changed because of it. So, yeah. They can say what they want to, but we all know it's because Georgia was playing on Friday as to why the championship and all that stuff was mixed up. So, but that's neither here nor there. But, for, any Georgia fan or Georgia player, like myself, we're used to playing on Saturday. We had the night game, back in 2009, but, it's usually a 12 o'clock or 3:30 kickoff, so it's a little weird with it being on Friday, but hey, the hate is still real. The Bumblebees are still coming into Sanford Stadium, and we got to take care of business.
Yeah, no doubt. No matter if it's on Black Friday, no matter if it was happening this afternoon, anytime, any day, any week, as Dan Campbell once famously said, we'll play you in a landfill, we'll play you in a parking lot, I don't care. So he said a lot of other things in that speech, but he said, I don't care where we play you. So that is something that's going to happen. It's going to be weird for me to be like, hey, Friday night, I got to tune into Georgia, because that's usually my Saturday morning. Like, hey, Georgia's at 11. Hey, I'm going to watch Georgia beat the hell out of Tech and then just enjoy the rest of the games the rest of the day. And that's usually how it's been. But now on Saturday, I'm just going to wander aimlessly through the schedule. Like, I'm going to watch Tennessee Vanderbilt at 11, which – who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with that game? That's a pesky game for Tennessee. So they've got to be able to focus bright and early at 11 a.m. So who knows what's going to happen there with the college football playoff on the line? But Georgia certainly, with last week's shenanigans, they have a lot to play for now. They somehow backed their way into the SEC championship, which I'll take it. Anytime you can play for hardware, that's always good. Their opponent's going to come down to the Lone Star Showdown, which is Texas and Texas A&M, a rivalry that has been renewed for the first time in 13 years. What do you think of how everything's gone down? Like, when you saw that Georgia had clinched a spot after Ole Miss lost and after Alabama got shellacked by Oklahoma. Like, what was going through your mind? Because a lot of people are like, I don't really want to play in the conference title game because we're sitting on easy street now in a spot, and then that could be taken away with one more loss. But, in my mind, it's just win, and win and all will be taken care of.
Look, for me, first of all, to all the haters that was out there talking about, oh, Georgia this, oh, Georgia that, playoff, blah, blah, blah. Look where we're at right now. You know what I mean? So, first of all, y'all be quiet, okay? Now, here's the thing. As a true competitor, as you and I are, why wouldn't you want to play an SEC championship game? You've had some coaches talk about it and things like that, but why wouldn't you want to play an SEC championship game? Why won't you want to be the best in the SEC by winning that game? And it just comes down to do your job and win. That's all you got to do is win, and you're fine. You know what I mean? So being in that game, is an honor and a privilege to be in that game, and you go out there and prepare and you win it, just as you should. You know what I mean? Don't run from it because, oh, we're going to lose and be out. No, you're not going into that game to looking to lose anyway.
No, you're not.
So you go in there and handle business and you win and everything takes care of itself. I get tired of people talking about, well, I don't know if we want to play in this, and why wouldn't you? The goal has always been to be SEC champion like that. That's the number one goal, is to be the SEC champion. So that shouldn't change just because, oh, we're worried about the playoffs. So first of all, y'all were complaining that, no, they did not get into the SEC championship. Now you complain that we are in it. So which one is it?
Yeah, it's exhausting to keep up with with that. But this new system has got everyone in a tizzy, to be honest. And I think Georgia sitting at number 7 right now leads you to believe that even with a loss, they could stay in the top 12. Is that conceivable?
I think so. Even if there was a loss, which we're not speaking that into existence by any means, but even if we were to lose, I think the quality of that game is what's going to keep us in the top. You know what I mean? So if we go out there and get blown out, then we don't deserve to be in the playoff, in my opinion. But if we can keep it close, a 7 3-point ball game, something like that, I think there needs to be some discussions had about putting the best teams in there. But here's the thing: you're going to have 2 of the best teams in the top 12 playing anyway. Yeah. If that happens, or when that happens.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good. And it's likely going to be Texas, and you're going to have to beat Texas a second time. And we all know how difficult that is how difficult it is beating a team twice when they've got film on you. Now they've got a whole beat on how you want to play them. And so that kind of factors in. But, I'm not so sure that, Texas with Arch Manning and only Arch Manning can win this type of game this year. Now, he will be good. Texas may even be in better shape with Arch Manning next year than they are with Quinn Ewers now. And Quinn Ewers is banged up. I don't know how effective he's going to be. They may just pull him for the rest of the year. Who knows what's going to happen there? It's all going to be determined later on this week when they play Texas A&M. So, but it's likely going to be Texas because I liked Marcel Reed, but I just don't think he's ready yet to win a big time game. And I don't know that Texas A&M can pull that off. I certainly hope that they can, because I think that just be another crazy story in this drunk football season. But there's a lot of people that were shouting from the rooftops all the negatives about the 12-team playoff. This has led to some really good and interesting football. There's so many teams in it now, and that are still in it now, that you have some compelling matchups outside of just like, okay, who's Oregon playing? Okay, who's Ohio State playing? Okay, who's Georgia playing? Who's Texas playing? It goes beyond that. Like there's teams like, Ole Miss is still in the mix, right? South Carolina, they shellac Clemson. They have a chance to kind of sneak in there. You have team, like Boise State could end up getting a bye and hosting a playoff game as one of the 4 highest ranked conference champions in FBS. They could end up in that slot. So that's interesting. You get a Heisman hopeful in the playoff. That's some good stuff right there. And then you got some other teams that are also in the mix. Notre Dame is sitting there. Indiana, what do you do with them? Penn State, what do you do with them? Miami, where do they fall? Clemson, where do they fall? Florida State, they're out of it. It's brutal down there, man. It's brutal down there in Tallahassee. But yeah, Florida can. I don't think they're going to be in it, but they can. Just them being in the conversation has led them to have a massive recruiting class.
Oh, no doubt. I think that's the biggest thing that the college football playoff has done. It has made the level of play from all teams go up. You know what I mean? Because everybody's trying to get in the playoff. Because everybody has a chance to get in the playoff, essentially. So you're not getting these big blowouts because, on paper, they're better than so-and-so and this, that. No, you're getting teams that's actually preparing, teams that are trying to go out and win.
Mm-hmm.
Teams that are trying to beat the hell out of each other, so they can have a spot in the playoff, to make it look good on their resume, when the time comes. So, I know people all in a tizzy about 12 teams, but now you're starting to see why that 12 teams is important, because every game matters and every game counts now. You know what I mean? And you're not going to have all this opt out and, rolling over on games, because it happens in college football. We all know. So, you're getting teams' best shot every single week, even teams that don't have a shot. Who'd have thought that Florida would bounce back and, beat top teams? Vandy this year, we knew they were going to be good, but they're knocking people out. Who would have thought that Alabama would struggle as much as they have, especially against a struggling Oklahoma team this year, to go on the road and lose. So, you're getting everybody's best shot. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, teams are relevant. South Carolina, I mean, that's probably the biggest example. Like, you thought at the beginning of the year when they struggled with Old Dominion, you're like, oh, okay, this could be it for Shane Beamer. And there was chatter. There was chatter. I don't know how loud in the South Carolina communities. But I have to imagine that at some point they were probably thinking about it. Like, okay, what do we do if we continue on this downhill trend? They take LSU to the wire. They're a poor call away from winning that game. And then, they go on this run and they almost beat Alabama, which they should have beat Alabama. They kind of choked that one away. I'll be first to say that one, but
yes,
they just, they made a run after that. They started beating teams. They started being explosive defensively. They have two really good NFL level players, and one of them's a freshman. And one of them's a transfer portal guy. But, I mean, Shane Beamer's done a great job of changing that culture around, because that team could have folded up after that Alabama game and just kind of meandered through the season mediocrely and, gone 7-5, 6-6, whatever that record is. But now they're sitting there with 3 losses. They're on the cusp. They're sitting there, I think, at number 18. Like, hey, there's got to be some things happen in front of us. But it ain't inconceivable that they could end up as that 12 seed. So
they just got to win. All this is about taking care of oneself. So whenever, like I said, when everybody was up in arms about us, losing to Ole Miss, if you take care of business, everything takes care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And we're starting, and we see it right now. All we got to do is just win. That's it.
Yeah, just win, and you're in. Win 2 more games, and you're in. And you're in good. You win 2 games, and you're going to be. There's no way that an SEC team that an SEC champion is not going to get a bye.
Yeah.
There's no way that that's not going to happen. I mean, if it's Georgia, it may be the 4 seed because of 2 losses versus Oregon. Oregon or Ohio State's going to drop out of that top 4 because one of them is going to lose because they're in the same conference. Penn State's going to drop out. So that leaves your SEC champion as probably at worst, your 3 seed, which would leave Boise maybe as the 4 seed, and then maybe, I mean, if it's Texas, they're the 2 seed, and there's a lot of possibilities, and just the talk of that brings a lot of teams involved. So I think it's been a huge success. And I think NIL chances are going to make for more parity. I think if they clean up a couple of things with the transfer portal and have a couple of guardrails, which I'm not sure what those things are, I would have to think about them and just try to see. But if there are a few guardrails, then you could conceivably have a really good NIL plan and mimic the NFL quite effectively.
Oh, there's no doubt. I'm just looking forward to it, man. I'm just glad that we have a chance to play, for a championship. We get the chance to, prove ourselves once again. And, we start by playing the Bumblebees on Saturday. I mean,
Yeah.
on Friday now.
On Friday. It's clean old fashioned Black Friday hate, right? I hate Black Friday now. I hated it before. Now it's shopping in Bumblebees that are Black Friday, or at least for 1 year, they're Black Friday staples. So let's talk about the Bumblebees, right? So you have a matchup with Georgia Tech, who I've deemed as a very, very tricky game. It's a very not overly settling because of what they bring to the table. Like they're very, Buster Faulkner does a really good job calling the offense, and he's got, I think, his backup quarterback's better than his starter. I think Philo is a really good quarterback as a freshman.
Oh yeah,
and he can make some things happen, and they can move the ball up and down the field, and they can score. Yes. Defensively, they've got some work to do. I think tackling is not always consistent, not always great. And I think sometimes they play into that where they take chances they probably shouldn't because they know their defense probably isn't going to hold up. They're just not quite there yet personnel-wise, but you can see that there's some improvements going on within that program, but they're just not quite at the level to where they're a complete team. But this offense, man, like our defense struggled against UMass. Like, was it just lack of focus the reason why we struggled with UMass? Because it just gives me the idea that we're going to struggle with Georgia Tech's offense, and this 20-point spread may start to be easy money for to take Georgia Tech on the plus side.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things to where, all right, we're playing UMass. We just had a big game the week before. We're playing UMass. Let's just get out of here and go. But UMass came out ready to play. And I applaud them for that. Mm-hmm. I think playing Georgia Tech this week, and I called them Bumblebees, but I have a lot of respect for Georgia Tech. I mean, they're a really good football team. Mm-hmm. They beat a top-ranked Miami team. They've been playing really hard as of late. Had a big, I guess you would call it a comeback behind win against NC State last week. So they're a really, really good football team. Two really good quarterbacks, and Haynes King and Philo. I watched Philo when he was at Prince Avenue. So the kid's a baller. He can stroll now. You know what I mean? So I think playing this game, the things that Coach Faulkner does, and how tough they're going to be with Coach Key. I think this is a good tune-up for the SEC championship game, simply because they've gotten better and better each year. Yeah. Normally it was, all right, we're just going to go out here and play Georgia Tech, beat them, and just, look ahead. But no, you have to get ready to play this team. And I think playing Georgia Tech is going to get us ready for SEC championship game, in the sense that you got a mobile quarterback, a bunch of different motions, a bunch of different ways to, create space, a bunch of different ways to run the football that'll get us ready for this playoff run. So I think this is going to be a really good matchup. And I think the guys in our locker room are going to take this game a lot more seriously than they have been in previous years.
Oh yeah, totally. And it prepares us for a Sarkisian offense because it's explosive. It's multiple. Like you said, it creates matchups and creates space that is kind of really hard to defend.
And I think it's one of those deals to where, look, you better bring your lunch pail and be ready to go. This isn't the option or veer, that we're used to playing from back in the day, but this is a team that uses the 2-quarterback system that is really, really successful with it. Most 2 QB systems aren't very good, but, Coach Faulkner does a really good job with both of those guys. He knows that Hayes King is limited, so he runs the football, but he can still throw the ball as well. You know what I mean? Philo, he's more of the thrower, but at the same time, he can run the football. You know what I mean? They have really good skill guys. They got a running back that's pretty dang good as well. So, this is not one of those you just like, oh, this is just Georgia Tech. They're coming here, we're going to win. Absolutely not. You got to prepare for this game just like it's an SEC game. Yeah. Because not only are you looking to win, but they're looking to beat you. Georgia Tech hadn't won this game in a very long time. You know what I mean? So, and to beat us in Sanford Stadium will be the biggest gift that they could have for the whole year.
Oh yeah, for sure. And for that, for them to possibly dethrone us and derail us from that gives them motivation, and that gives Georgia motivation, because they're like, we're not going to let these guys disable us or dismantle us, and we're not going to let them end our dream of having the Patriot style dynasty of 3 in the last 4 years, or have a chance at that. So that I think the psychology of it is, to me, it's on the surface, you look at it and say, okay, well, Georgia has everything to lose. Georgia Tech has nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that affect Georgia? Like, does it, do you think it would make them more tight, or do you think it would make them be put in a situation to where they're just like extra motivated and extra focused?
I think it gives you a little bit of a sense of extra focus. You know what I mean? It's one of those deals to where, hey, listen here, we got a chance to get one more game in before, the next season starts essentially. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think they understand the ramifications of if you lose this game of what'll happen. All playoff soaps are pretty much gone unless you win the SEC championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, if I'm the coaching staff, I'm hyping up this game like it's the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Every game from now on is like the Super Bowl, starting with this one. And, if you look past Georgia Tech, you're going to get beat. This is a really good football team. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't approach this game with the sense of, all right, we're just going to go out here. We're going to, we're going to try not to get anybody hurt. We're going to play. No.
Yeah,
I think you work on things that you struggle with during the season, to get you ready for the playoff, get your guys a little bit more confidence, see what works, and then get back to the basics a little bit, kind of work on some things that you're going to work on, in the SC championship game, just things like that. You're preparing, for the next season, you know what I mean? That comes in, after this game. So if I know Kirby Smart, I know that staff, I think that's the mindset they have, that, hey, this is the next game, and we're going to play our best game. We're going to prepare ourselves for next week by taking care of business this week.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I would agree. I would tend to agree with that. And I think Georgia's been wired for that kind of thing. Like usually when a team is not used to being in this situation, like say at Tennessee, I think it would be the opposite for Tennessee because they're right there on the cusp of a playoff berth. And they may go out there tight, trying not to make mistakes and trying to play the perfect game against a team that really wants to beat them and is talented enough to beat them. I think Georgia Tech has been conditioned in this scenario to where, okay, we're at home, everything's on the line, our intensity, our focus is all ratcheted up, and I think that's leadership. I think that's where Kirby Smart really earns his paycheck, as he gets them ready for games like this. Ole Miss was an aberration. Ole Miss that game was their Super Bowl, and they just came out and they just beat us up front and confused us up front, and they just outplayed us that night. But I would venture to say if we played Ole Miss again, it wouldn't happen. And even in that same scenario, play them at their place, I don't think that happens again.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think we just came out. We ran on a very emotional high. Go out and score the very first series and don't piss or drop after that. And you're gonna have those games. And if you be in this business long enough, you're gonna have games like that.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the mindset now, is we don't want to have another one of those games. So we need everybody focused. We need everybody ready to go. And we just need to go out here and execute. That's the thing about this time of year. It's about execution. That's it. It's the Jimmys and Joes, obviously, but at the same time, if you go out and execute, you can go out there and beat anybody.
Right. Absolutely. And so they've got to just get in that mindset. And the defense, I think, here's the thing that worries me about the defense, though. Here's the thing that I was concerned with over the course of the season, not just a one-game sample size against UMass, which I think the communication all along. Do you think that we're a little too complicated defensively, and we're not able to communicate things as effectively and efficiently as we need to?
No, I think you just got some new faces in places. You know what I mean? It's the same defense that we've been running. It's Kirby Smart's defense. You know what I mean? And it's the same defense, Coach Schumann ran last year. You know what I mean? So I just think you got some new faces in new places. And I think that's the key, is communications breaking down. Kind of your leaders have been out, so that's a big key too. So some young guys are having to step up, and some older guys who hadn't usually been getting those reps have got to step up in those situations, and we haven't had that on either side of the ball, honestly. So I think defensively, you go back to drawing board. Hey, what can we do well, and what can we be successful at? And you just need buy-in from that standpoint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think we're giving up I think we're playing off a little bit too far. We're giving up a little bit too much in the passing game, and then we're not our rushing lanes are not right. We're letting people get outside of us on the ends. We're not gang tackling like we're used to seeing. Just those little things that you're used to seeing from a Georgia defense, we're not doing this year. And I think that's one of those things they'll go back and reevaluate when the season's over with as well. But right now it's nut cutting time, and you don't have time to do that. So you got to fix it right now and expect those guys that you put out there, all 11 guys to the ball, and all 11 guys doing their assignment.
Yeah, that was my next point about the technical stuff. Like, I think one of the things you see now a lot in college football and even in the NFL is constricting space, right? I think you see less of teams showing respect. I don't think it's a disrespect thing, but like you show respect for these elite receivers and the elite speed, and you don't want to give up space behind you. But in covering that space behind you, you give up a lot of space in front of you, and you're forced to tackle in space. And a lot of that is, it's predicated on, hey, I'm going to make this one-on-one tackle in the open field. And a lot of times you see a receiver catch a 5-yard hitch, turn it into 12, 13, 14 yards and a first down because the corner couldn't make the tackle and the safety had to come over and get him before he scampered for a touchdown. And against UMass, I think they were playing off coverage a little bit, trying to get there with their front four, and they're just playing off coverage a little bit and rallying on everything in front of them. And I think in a way, in some scenarios, that's good. But I think as a general rule of thumb, with the way college football offenses are going now, you have to, because teams are going to stretch you horizontally. That's because at some point you've got to create space either vertically or horizontally. And the first step is creating it horizontally by creating different looks, different formations, motions, and pre-snap motion stuff. But I think when teams are able to come down and take that space away pre-snap, I think there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that aren't comfortable if they take their rhythm steps and they look out there and there's a guy blanketing and there's that space that's being taken away. I don't think quarterbacks are comfortable throwing into those windows, and I think it makes it a little bit. I think it makes it a little more susceptible to errant throws, bad decisions, things like that. And teams are like, okay, beat me deep, I dare you. And corners are good enough now to play tight and run with you. And I think corners are the athleticism of corners are starting to catch up with that of their counterparts across the ball, and they are able to play more of that man zone combination coverage and be able to carry that receiver deep so that a shot play is truly a shot play. So I think if Georgia can constrict those windows and really tighten things down and take some of that space away, you get a freshman quarterback like Philo. He, as good as he's been, quick game, you take away quick game, and that's kind of like every quarterback's crutch.
It seems like on our defense, and we talked about this, the last time that my Thomasville team lost, just do your job. And I think in the secondary right now, as a defense, put that in defense as a whole, I think everybody's trying to do their job and everybody else's job at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's a trust factor. We haven't seen that in the last couple of years simply because we've had that leadership.
Yeah.
That's what it goes back to, leadership on the side of the ball. So it goes back to, hey, do your job and trust that the person next to you is going to do theirs.
Right.
I think right now, after UMass game and seeing that guy rush for 200 yards on us, things like that. I think it's like, all right, we've seen this movie before and the ending didn't end well. So I think it's time for us to get our what together, and let's go out here and play Georgia football like we've played the last couple of years. And I don't think it's an individual thing. We're not playing as an individual. So that's the easy part. That's the part that you have to fix most of the time. But I think it's more so is that the trust factor and the leadership factor that we're missing, that makes it look so bad on that side of the ball. Everybody's talking about, we need a new DC, Glenn Schumann, blah, blah, blah. It's the same defense. T-Rob coming in, he just came in just for Muschamp. Do you miss that other guy? Absolutely. But at the same time, Coach has been there. He's been with Muschamp for forever. He knows his defense as well. So it's just one of those deals to where let's not make excuses. Let's just fix this within this locker room, let's fix it at practice. Let's fix it on the field. So, you know, moving forward, we can go out here and beat the hell out of people like we used to.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So what's your prediction here? Georgia's favored 19.5 is the line. I imagine it'll drop a couple of points the closer we get to game time. Probably a lot because Vegas wants to draw some action on the other side. But 19.5, are we liking it?
I'm liking it from the fact of I think the guys understand that, this is clean old fashioned hate and Georgia Tech's not supposed to beat us. And I think if we come out and play like we're supposed to, we play like we played against Tennessee, we come out like we played against Texas, Clemson in the second half, and I think we come out and play true Georgia football. I think, we get in and get out and get ready to play next week. We're not looking forward to next week by any means because this team can beat us. But I think if we play Georgia football and we play like we're supposed to, I mean, Georgia Tech can't play with us.
No, they can't. They can't. And I think it'll be an interesting game early. I think if you take Georgia minus 19.5, which that line, according to Bet Online, it's dropped a half point. It's sitting at 19 even. All right. If you take Georgia at minus 19, you're probably going to be sweating throughout the first half going, oh boy, maybe I shouldn't have picked it. And then all of a sudden you're going to get that breakthrough, kind of like the Tennessee game. You're going to get that breakthrough, and all of a sudden they're going to push out to a 21 point lead at some point because Georgia Tech's defense is going to break down, right?
Yeah.
Frazier is that kind of back. I like the way he runs, and he's got a sense of like wearing you down, and he's got a lot of potential. I mean, the stats don't really back it up, but he's got a lot of potential there. I think he wears them down. I think if Carson Beck can play a clean game, which I think he will, I think he's finally got a little confidence going. He can play a clean game, involve the tight ends, Delp and Lucky, which you saw. I sent you a text last week when you involved the tight ends, or 2 weeks ago. When you involve the tight ends, good things happen. Tight ends at Georgia are well coached, and Todd Hartley. This might be the last run we have of Todd Hartley because he might be in Hattiesburg next year, leading his own program. I've seen him on a couple of short lists. So he may not be in Athens next year, which that would be amazing if he's the head coach at Southern Miss. That would be a big upgrade for him. But I like Georgia minus 19. I think I agree with you there. It's gonna be tricky at first, and then they're gonna pull away, and you're gonna see, Georgia. You're gonna see kind of Georgia Tech's defense fizzle out, and Georgia kind of take over. Let's look at some other games, right? We got another Friday night game. You've got in the conference, you've got the Egg Bowl on Friday afternoon, which is Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 26-point favorites.
I'm taking it. I think they're going to put a whooping on Mississippi State this week. They owe somebody from last week, so somebody's got to get it. Sorry, Mississippi State.
Yeah, Mississippi State, they're going to go winless in the conference in year one under Jeff Lebby. But the president, Van Buren, he was great as a president. He was okay as a quarterback. He's got some potential, and they've got some potential if they can get a few things happening in the transfer portal. They're well coached. They play hard. They're just not very good. I think Ole Miss stomps them into the ground. Okay. You have now on Saturday, you have South Carolina, Clemson. Is it odd that Clemson's only 2.5-point favorites at home?
No, I like South Carolina in this one. I'm taking South Carolina.
I think it's easy money too. Yeah, I think plus side. Even if it's basically a pick 'em. I like South Carolina. The defensive line they're just menaces, right?
Oh yeah, that's good.
Tennessee Vandy. Tennessee comes into Nashville, 10.5-point favorites there. Vandy's pesky.
I'm liking Vandy. I think if they can get pressure on the quarterback, I think they got a really good chance to win this football game.
Yeah, for sure. I like Vandy as well to cover that 10.5. Worst case scenario, they cover. But I think they can. I think they have a really good, legitimate shot at outright winning that. The big game, Michigan, Ohio State, doesn't have as much luster, but 21 points seems kind of sad for that matchup.
I think they can do it. I think they got it. 21 is a lot, but I think once they play ball like they're supposed to, I think they end up covering.
Yeah, I do too, and that's sad to think that this They were national champions last year. Now they're 21-point underdogs to Ohio State, which is usually a very heated contest. Then you have there's a couple other notable games that I want to pick that could have some implications. Auburn, Alabama. Auburn is plus 11.5 at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama's kind of reeling. Does Auburn have a chance here?
I think Auburn has a chance after last week and watching them play the inspired football that they have been playing the last couple of weeks. I think they got a really legitimate chance to win the football game. Or at least keep it close, at least.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they cover. At the very least, I think they cover. I don't know about winning outright, but Peyton Thorne is kind of an enigma at quarterback, but I do think they cover. And then the last one, Texas A&M, Kyle Field. Texas A&M is 5-point home underdogs in this game. What are we thinking here?
Oh, this is a tough one. I think Texas A&M has a chance to win this football game. I'm taking Texas A&M and +5 here, simply because if they can play Texas A&M football that they've been playing at the beginning of the year, and they can get Texas to struggle just enough to keep it close, I think they have a legitimate chance to win this football game.
Yeah, I think defensively, this is a really good matchup between both teams. Both teams are play extremely fast and explosive up front on the defensive lines. So it'll be kind of like a low scoring thing because Marcel Reed, I don't think he's ready to play quarterback in this matchup yet. He's going to be good, just not yet. Quinn Ewers is banged up. I think the belief is that he's no longer viable for them if they're going to win a championship. I think Texas fans are a little bit out on him. And he may just be too banged up. So Texas A&M could have a chance to take advantage before they pull the plug to Arch Manning to build a lead to where they get that crowd in a frenzy. They can end up spoiling and winning and actually earning a spot in the SEC championship against Georgia. So I'm going to take the Aggies here. I think it's going to be a field goal game at the very least. Whether Texas wins or not, I'm going to take the Aggies here. The home environment, 13 years of just pure hatred. They want to take it out on Texas. They didn't want Texas here in the first place. They're going to take it out on them. I think years to come, Texas may beat the crap out of them for the next 5 years. I just think A&M's probably going to – they have a really good chance of getting this one. They've had this circled from day one. They've got all their eggs in this basket. So I like the Aggies here.
Absolutely. I like them too. I like them.
Well, Israel, that's going to do it for us, man. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Oh man, the ham, man. My in-laws are cooking this year, so my mother-in-law's ham is absolutely phenomenal.
Okay, the old ham, yeah. I love some smoked ham. Honey baked ham is always good too. And what's your favorite side dish?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm a mac and cheese guy, but you can't trust everybody's mac and cheese. But at the same time,
So let's put mac and cheese on the shelf. So what's number 2?
My wife makes a good broccoli casserole. It sounds weird, but it's delicious.
Okay, sweet potato souffle for me, and can't beat that. So you got that and the mashed potatoes, and then you got the turkey, the ham, and some of the other green bean casseroles really good. Broccoli casserole can be good. So nonetheless, have a great Thanksgiving. Hope you guys are safe. If you're going to the game, enjoy the game. And let's come back out of here with the Bulldog victory. Enjoy your next 4 days of really good NFL and college football. Get on Bet Online. Maybe you can win all your Christmas gifts for the year on these games. And we'll see you back here next time on the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. We'll see you later. Peace. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.